Have you ever imagined a jeweler's workbench, but instead of physical tools, you've got this incredible suite of digital instruments right at your fingertips? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to open up the drawers of that digital workbench and take a tour of the AlgoJewels Toolset. Trust me, it's a total game changer for jewelry design. You know, for way too long, digital jewelry design has been this really slow, painful process. You're basically doing static drawings, and one tiny change could mean hours and hours of rework. AlgoJewels is here to completely flip that script. It's a dynamic design environment that was built by jewelers for jewelers to turn that creative spark into a real, tangible thing just seamlessly. And this sentence right here, this is the core idea, the North Star for the entire AlgoJewels philosophy. It's a pretty bold statement, but it points to a much smarter, way more intuitive future for how we create jewelry.
So what in the world is parametric design, anyway? Well, imagine this. Instead of having to manually redraw a whole ring just because your client wants a bigger stone or a different finger size, you just move a slider. And here's the magic part. All the related pieces, the prongs, the thickness of the band, the settings, they all adjust automatically. Everything is intelligently linked together. It's associative. It thinks with you.
So, for our tour today, we're going to explore this digital workbench, one tab at a time. We'll start with the big picture, then we'll get into the fundamental building blocks. We're talking curves and gemstones, then the ring shanks and surface details before we wrap up with those all-important finishing touches. Ready? Let's go.
First up, let's really dig into why this new way of designing is so valuable and why it's truly the future of jewelry CAD.
This slide just nails it. It's the perfect before and after. On the left, you've got the old way, the frustration of static modeling, a world of endless redrawing where creativity just gets stuck in the mud. But on the right, that's the freedom of the parametric approach. A simple slider can unlock a universe of design possibilities in a split second. This is what we mean when we say you can design at the speed of thought.
Okay, let's move to our first tool drawer and see how this all comes together. We're starting with the absolute basics, the fundamentals, the Curves tab. In pretty much any design, you have to start with a line, a shape, right? The Curves tab is exactly that. It's your digital pencil and sketchbook. It is packed with a massive toolkit of curve-related components that literally form the skeleton of almost any piece you can dream up.
So one of the real workhorses in the AlgoJewels toolset is the Universal Profile Maker. This thing is so powerful. It lets you intuitively create custom profiles for any part of your design. With just a couple of slider adjustments, you can generate these really complex cross-sections that would be just incredibly time-consuming to draw by hand. This is where that parametric magic really starts to pop.
And believe me, the power of parametric design goes way beyond just simple shapes. I mean, check out the torus knot component. It creates this kind of intricate organic geometry with just a few slider inputs. Seriously, this is the kind of complex shape that would have taken hours, maybe even days to model the old way. Now, you can have it in seconds.
Okay, so we've laid down our lines. Now let's open the next drawer in our digital workbench and, add a little sparkle with the Gemstones tab.
Creating properly faceted, fancy-cut gems in 3D, oh man, that can be a real headache. But tools like this heart gem component make it just effortless. You just plug in the dimensions you want, and boom, it generates a perfectly proportioned and faceted heart-shaped stone. You can get the exact size you need right away.
All right, this is what's so cool about parametric design. Its ability to handle complexity. Think about pavé setting. Manually placing dozens, sometimes hundreds of tiny stones and their settings on a curved surface is unbelievably tedious. But with the pavé to surface tool, you just define the surface, the stone size, and the spacing, and AlgoJewels flows the entire array across the form automatically. It's incredible.
Every great ring needs a solid foundation, right? So let's move on to the next section, which is all about the main body of the ring, the shanks tab.
Now this is all about working smarter, not harder. Instead of starting every single ring from scratch, the Shanks tab gives you, get this, over 51 different pre-built shank setups. This is a massive library of starting points for almost any ring style you can think of, from classic wedding bands to really complex designer pieces.
And these pre-built setups are not basic at all. The 4-rail shank, for example, generates this stunning, multi-layered form that has this graceful sense of movement. Trying to create something like this from a blank canvas would be a huge project. With AlgoJewels, it's just your starting point, which frees you up to focus on the real artistry of the piece.
And just to show you a bit more of the variety, take a look at the twist ring shank. This is a really popular, dynamic style, and it's completely parametric.
The number of twists, how tight they are, the profile of the band itself, it's all controlled by inputs. You can create endless variations of this design in just a few moments.
Okay, we've got our foundation built. Now it's time to add some character. Let's move to the Surface tab. This is all about creating the final 3D form, the textures, and the patterns.
The Surface tab is where so much of the artistry really comes into play. It has 27 different tools for generating complex surfaces and textures. You can do pretty much everything, from creating a simple bezel to weaving these intricate patterns, or even embossing a custom design onto a piece. Oh, this is a fantastic example of the creative potential you have here. With the Emboss Tile tool, any 2D curve can be turned into a 3D pattern and embossed right onto your design. Just think about the possibilities. You could do delicate floral patterns, bold geometric textures, anything you can draw, and it's all fully adjustable and updates live. Okay, our digital piece is almost there. Now for the final stage, actually visualizing it and then getting the design ready for manufacturing. That's where the display and printing tabs come in.
A design really comes to life when you can see it in its final form, and the Metal Color Display tool makes that happen with a single click. You can instantly switch between yellow gold, rose gold, white gold, whatever, to find the perfect metal for your design. This isn't just a design tool, it's an amazing communication tool for when you're working with clients.
And you know, it's not just about making pretty pictures. The whole point is to create a physical piece of jewelry. Tools like the printer gate placement component are what bridge that gap from digital to physical. It helps you strategically place all the necessary supports for 3D printing and casting, making sure your design is actually manufacturable from the get-go. So, after our tour of this incredibly powerful digital workbench, we're left with one final thought. The real power of parametric design isn't just about making things faster, it's about blowing the doors open to new creative possibilities. So it really makes you wonder, right? When your tools allow for infinite variation, what will you create?